going to just answer all your questions. So whatever y'all want to chat about, ask about, that is what we're going to do. I guess we can reintroduce ourselves really quick. This program has been awesome. It always is so good. It always changes so many lives, and it's very exciting to watch all of you, just all the progress you've made and the growth, and it's always just so exciting. But to reintroduce ourselves, I'm Morgan McGee. I'm the Superstar Director of this awesome, magnificent Superstars family of teams. And I joined in 2014, so I've been doing this for a hot minute. I've been doing it full time for 7 years. So former dental hygienist, never going back to that. I'm now a work-at-home mom, about to have my second kiddo, and going to be present with her like I was for my son, who is about to be 6. So that's my life in a nutshell. I now have a husband who's on the road. Most of you don't know that yet. He's on the road during the week and home on the weekends. So we've done a major life change here recently, but we've got big goals, and we're making some short-term sacrifices. So there's that. Mom of a 5-year-old in sports and in kindergarten with a newborn about to come in about 3 months. So that's a little bit about me. So everybody reintroduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself and all the things. So Jill, you go.
Hey, I'll go.
Okay, Whitney, you go next.
Okay, so I'm Whitney. I am the star director of The Perfect Sensations. Jill is my sponsor / star director, and also my accountability buddy. I am a stay-at-home. I like how you put work at home mom, Morgan, because yeah. So I'm a work at home mom. I decided to stay at home once my son was born 6 years ago, and never re-entered back into the 9 to 5. So Scentsy is my full-time job. That's pretty much it for me.
All right, Jill.
I am Jill Mitchell. Summy is my Facebook name. I don't know. I have to explain that every time. But anyway, I am a workaholic. Is what it is. I work 2 full-time jobs, 1 part-time job right now. But if you have time management questions, balance questions, routine questions, I'm probably your girl. I have gone through 3 major career changes since I have been a Scentsy consultant, and several relocations as far as moving across the state. Next year I'm moving across the state line, so that would be awesome. But I have a 10-year-old, and I have a husband who's also a workaholic. So, but like Morgan said, short-term sacrifices, long-term goals, and that's kind of what we're going for. So, but that's me. Yeah. I am one of Morgan's frontline star directors. I am the star director of the Sassy Wax Slingers. And I have been a Scentsy consultant since September of 2016. So there you go, Hannah.
Hi, I'm Hannah, and I am the director of the Bold and Fearless Rock Stars. And I actually joined back in 2010 under a different team. And then I actually reinstated back in January end of January of 21. And then I triple promoted to director in September of 21. So with a team of 7. So it was crazy, little roller coaster there. But Crystal is actually my star director, and my mom is actually my sponsor. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Not much to say.
And then Crystal's videos being wonky, but she's here. So Y'all met there she is. Wait.
You're
Okay.
muted.
I knew that. I saw the mute
There you
button.
go.
I'll probably have to turn off my video, but I was hoping to keep it off just so I can get through this, and then I can I'll have to shut it off. Oh man. You guys, that's a struggle. I'm trying to figure out Zoom so I can, anyway, you don't need to go into that, but my name's Crystal Butler. I am the star director for Faith-Filled Sensations. I am a homeschooling mom, first of all. So I've always wanted to be a homeschooling mom. That's my goal. That's my dream. I have 5 kiddos. 4 of them are in school. So I am only able to work Scentsy part-time. But I am determined to make it a full-time income. And yeah, that's a little bit about me. I am also Wax McGee's. I'm reading their name. I'm Morgan's frontline. I actually joined Scentsy. Jill, is it like one day before you or after you or something like that? So
Yeah, we're almost twins.
yeah, basically. So yeah, it's been about 6 years. It'll be 5.5. It'll be 6 years this summer. So anyway, that's a little about me. I think, okay, before I mute myself again, I do have a few of the questions that I wrote down that people did specifically ask. So I want to get to those. And then is Jen on still? I don't think that she's on here.
I saw her pop up a minute ago and now she's gone. So I'm not sure what happened.
Okay.
But if she
Okay.
hops back on, we'll have her reintroduce herself too.
Okay. So do you want me to go ahead and ask the first question and then we can kind of let whoever wants to answer?
Yep. Let us know what you got. And then if y'all have additional questions, just leave them in the comments and we'll get to everything we possibly can.
Okay. So the first question that was asked was, and this is not something that I can answer. So I'll ask and then probably either Jill or Morgan, but what was the biggest thing that helped when you transitioned from to doing Scentsy full time? Let me just read it how it was asked, but does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Okay,
Jill,
I'm
do you
gonna
have an
mute
answer?
myself.
Do you want to go first?
Sure. I was gonna write them all down, but so I transfer. Okay, so it was definitely a mindset shift. And it was also how I worked my business shift. So I absolutely brought no notes with me today, which is absolutely abnormal. So if I sound like I'm rambling, it's because I have no notes. But October 22nd, 2021 was Addison's 9th birthday. And I made a decision that day to leave dispatching and do Scentsy full time. Until that day, my mindset was this was just a part-time gig. This was, I'm just working Scentsy on my off days, or, I'm working Scentsy overnight when I don't have any calls going on, stuff like that. From that day forward, it became discipline. It became, setting my mind to things. It's more of a mindset shift, but you have to use a lot of self-control. So when you go from working a full-time job, you go from being accountable to somebody else. When you work Scentsy full-time, you're accountable to yourself. So it's a lot more of, you still have to clock in for you. You still have to work, the amount of hours that you feel like you need to work during the week. It is not, it took a lot of adjustment for me because such as today, for instance, I am off all day today, from all the jobs that I do. So today I literally have to work Scentsy for 8 hours in order to propel myself ahead into this week and into spring and summer. Right. So I'm trying to get everything done today. So I literally have to make a to-do list for myself and start checking that off. But I could sit here today and turn on the TV and get lost in whatever Netflix thing I have going in the background and get completely distracted from my work. or I could shut the TV off. I could be accountable to myself, get my work done, and then do that later. Right. So it's definitely when you're your own boss, when you go from being somebody's employee to your own boss, it's a self-control and it's a self-discipline mindset that you've got to be in. Right. There's also a lot of balance that comes with that too. So it wasn't very long before hypergrowth halted, and I really had to put in a lot more hours and go back into the full-time work environment. So now I have 2 full-time jobs, because being a star director is definitely a full-time job. When you grow your business super big, it's beyond a full-time job at that point. So it's a lot of early morning hours, it's a lot of late night hours. And I had to, when I transitioned, into working 2 full-time jobs, it was really getting myself into a routine where Scentsy was getting just as much action as La Crusade was getting, right? You have to get yourself into a routine. You have to be disciplined with it. It's not just, yay, I work for myself so I can do whatever I want. I mean, that's part of it. Addison's sick today, so I get to be home with her and I'm still making money sitting in my pajamas on the couch, right? But you have to be self-disciplined too, because if you're not holding yourself accountable and you're not clocking in for your Scentsy business, you're not going to make any money. And that's as blunt as I'm going to be, right? But I hope I answered that question as best as I could.
That was so good. Like, I don't even have to answer that, because I would have said all the same things. It's so true though. Even if you're just still working, if you're working Scentsy and you're working toward making it a full-time, which is most of us, or most of you, you might as well start practicing that self-discipline, like, because you're going to have it. And it starts with commitment, which I talked about that a little bit on the training that I did. It starts with commitment, but you're not going to be committed and self-disciplined if your why isn't big enough. So you have to have that vision. You have to have those big dreams and know why you're here and who you are and what you want for your life. Like, it starts really with your mindset and who you are and what your purpose is and why you're doing this, and that belief in yourself and your business and that vision that you're going to get your family to the place you want to be to. But I can't say anything else. Like, she said it all. So that was great. Anybody else want to chime in? All right.
Okay. I mean, I haven't made that transition to, I've just always done this from home and stuff. So I don't have anything to chime in on that one, but I do have another question. Okay. How do you introduce yourself to friends and family as a Scentsy consultant?
It's been 8 years since I did that, so I literally don't remember that, other than I shoved testers under their noses and said, here, look at this.
I think that's it. I think just letting people smell. Like, I don't even know that you like introduce yourself as that, but I know when I first joined, like, I carried that bag of testers with me everywhere, and I made people smell all the things. And I mean, that's really it.
And gift it to them, like at Christmas, Mother's Day, birthdays, like gift them Scentsy. Because I had an aunt in particular who, for probably the first 2 or 3 years that I was a consultant, she had nothing to do. Like, I would try to be like, hey, do you want to try this stuff out that I've started selling? Like, I love it. Here's why I love it, blah, blah. And she was never interested. Like, it was just one of those things, I think, where it was like, oh, she's selling something. Like, it was one of those stigma things. But then we had Dirty Santa, and she got some Scentsy body stuff. And then like a month later, she ordered like $250 worth of Scentsy because she fell in love with it. And I was like, thank you. So the product is going to sell itself at some point, and it's not for everybody. So be okay with not having support from some family members, because not everybody's going to support you. Not everybody's going to love the product. Not everybody's going to believe in your business, but you can prove them wrong and you can show them. You know, we've had family members that thought my business was a joke. And when I quit my job as a dental hygienist, we were struggling financially. So to the outsiders looking in, it was a stupid decision on our part. We were in a bankruptcy, like we could not pay our bills, and we were in a bankruptcy, and we had just moved back across the country, but we didn't even have the money to reactivate my license in a new state. And it wouldn't have made sense for me to take such a big pay cut and to have to drive so far, because we lived in the middle of nowhere. So like none of that made sense. And I was only a director. I say only a director, but like I wasn't bringing in the income I needed to match my dental hygienist pay yet. But that was in Colorado. Like I was making significantly more than I would have made when we moved back to Alabama. So anyway, long story short, it made no sense to us for me to go back to work. It made sense to us for me to hustle this business to get us to a better spot financially. But from the outsiders looking in, everybody thought we were crazy until they saw the money I started making. So prove the people wrong.
So maybe, Morgan, and maybe you can answer this, because maybe this question also means, don't be quiet. When somebody asks you what you do, what is your answer? You know what I mean? So what do you do? I work in direct sales, work in network. Like, what do you say?
I literally say,
sounds flat out. I do too.
You say what?
I just say I sell Scentsy, and then I ask him, do you know what that is? And that opens the conversation, because most people are like, what's that? Like my mail lady, I got a new mail lady, and I'm never here when she delivers. Like I'm always leaving to go pick Carson up when she delivers, but I was late leaving one day, and she stopped me and she was like, what are all these packages that smell so good that you're always sending out? And so then that gave me the opportunity to tell her, like, it's Scentsy. Do you know what that is? And she was like, no, I've never heard of it. So then I started telling her, like, okay, we have all the scented things for your house, for your mail truck. I can give you something to hang in there, your laundry, cleaning, all the things. I'm going to get you a little sample packet together. And I gave her a catalog. I gave her a sample of everything possible. I gave her a scent circle. I let her know that I place local orders with free shipping. Like it just goes from there. Like start with whatever you're comfortable with saying that doesn't feel weird or awkward to you.
I think
don't beat
anytime
around the bush about it. Don't be like, well, I'm in direct sales. Like, don't be awkward.
But I think
Tell them what you do.
I think anytime you say I sell, people automatically, they don't want to hear what comes next, in my opinion.
I've never had that. I've never had
Really?
that.
So I'll say this. Do you remember when you first asked me to do a bag party? What did I say to you? I was embarrassed. And I was like, oh, I just, I'll low-key sell this stuff, no big deal. Right. But what did my business look like back then? It was non-existent. Why? Because I wasn't proud of myself. I wasn't proud of my business. I wasn't proud to be a Scentsy consultant. Y'all, when my mindset shifted from March 29, I tell people this all the time, and Whitney knows this. When my mindset shifted from March 2019 on, and I started believing that Scentsy could actually change my life, it started paying my family's bills. And now this is my business. This is my Scentsy business. I am a Scentsy star director. Do you really make money? Heck yeah, I make money. I make a lot of money, and I like earlier this year, Whitney and I were like adding up how much money we've made since we reconnected. Y'all, Scentsy has like insert income disclosure agreement here, but like never ever in March of 2019 did I think that Scentsy could bless my family in the way that it did. And this is my job. This is my job because guess what? It pays the bills. It paid half the rent this month. It pays the car payments. It pays all kinds of stuff. This is your job and you should be absolutely proud of it. And let me tell you something. You will grow your business more when you're proud of this job than when you're scared to tell somebody you sell stuff. Nobody is going to want to buy wax from you if you're scared to tell them you sell it. You know what I mean? But if you're proud of it and you use it and you're proud of this business, they're going to want to support you. Right. So that's that. My mindset, the day that Whitney and I reconnected, and I was just like, girl, I just low key sell it. You know, it's fine. The very next week, when she told me she wanted to join and she wanted to be my front line, I had a decision to make. I could either shift my mindset and believe in myself and believe in Scentsy, or I could let Whitney do her thing and I would just still be sitting there. So be proud of your business. I spent too many years not being proud of this business and letting people's opinions affect my business. And guess what? It didn't grow. So the moment that you shift your mindset and you start being proud of your business and proud of what pays your bills, that's when you can be making that Morgan McGee money. I'm just saying.
Yes.
You have to be confident. You have to be confident and believe in what you're doing. And most of the people that are going to look down on you could never do what you do. We have a very hard job. Yes, it's a simple business. Yes, it's, you know, I work 2 hours a day most days. That's all I have. So, yes, but most people wouldn't have the discipline I have. Most people wouldn't have the commitment I have. Most people wouldn't be able to even fathom making the kind of sacrifices we've made. Like, most people don't have that mindset or that business mindset or the willingness to learn like we do. All of us here are special and unique. And the fact that we do this job, like most people couldn't do what we do. And that's why most people drop out of direct sales and they don't make it to the leadership positions and make the big money. And, you know, so you're here for a reason. You need to be confident in why you're here and be proud of yourself. Be proud of yourself.
Someone actually asked me this weekend, they were like, do you actually make any money with that? I was like, heck yeah, I make money with that. Like, I even told them, you know, flat out what I made. And I was like, and Morgan, I used you because you're like my inspiration for like all the things, but like for your paycheck, like, I'm like, that is where I want to be. And like, I told, I think I posted earlier, but like, when I took this course before, and I saw all the leaders' paychecks, like that is when it shifted for me. Like that's when my mindset changed, because I was like, if, you know, they can do this, what's stopping me? Like, and so I think from that point on, like my mindset has just like totally shifted. And like, you know, I used to be like kind of scared or kind of like a mouse, like just to say I sold anything. Like, I mean, why be afraid? Because like you've got all these celebrities like posting about their products and all this thing. And I'm like, hello. I mean, you can do the same thing and like your friends and your family can support you. Like, I mean, so for me, that's when it all changed. Like your mindset has to change if you want to go anywhere. Like,
And
your
thank you,
mindset.
Morgan, for sharing that information, because same thing, like until I saw the possibilities, you know, everybody sharing their paychecks, I was like, as long as I can like buy some groceries each month, like I'm cool. And then once I saw that, I was like, oh, hell no. I'm not stopping there.
That's why I share it, because that's what changed it for me too. So I was the same way. Like I just wanted to like pay for us to go eat hibachi one night or be able to get my nails done, and couldn't afford to buy the stuff. So like I was just going to get it for free and half off if I could. But when I saw, I guess she was my director at the time, or maybe star director, I saw her paycheck and I saw that she did this full time with 2 kids at home and supported her family, and her husband was military, so he didn't make good money either. I was like, hold up a minute. I can do way more than what I'm doing right now. And I got my butt in gear and I started recruiting. So that's why I'm so transparent with my paychecks, and I don't care to tell people what I make. I don't care to tell my family what I make. I don't care to tell anybody what I make, because it is, people need to see numbers to truly believe what can be done in this business. And it's funny, people will see a paycheck and they'll be like, you made that in 1 month? They're like, hold on, is that like 3 months? I'm like, no, that's 1 month. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, people that I'm friends with make significantly more than I do. Just
Hashtag
you
goals.
can fathom that. So like my paychecks are tiny compared to a lot of consultants. So but yeah, that's why I'm so transparent with it. And I'm glad to know that it helps.
It definitely helps. So keep sharing.
What other question?
Okay.
Crystal, do you have?
Yes, I have. There's one more question, but also like going with you guys' confidence in yourself, but also confidence in the products, because I feel like if you, like what somebody was saying, if you can just get those testers under their nose, then they'll see. Because I have so many people who are like, oh wait, whoa, this is Scentsy. And anyway, just the products themselves, having confidence in that. So
Let the
well, and also-
smelling do the selling.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But also something too that I haven't experienced in years is people being like, well, I can get that at Walmart, or, well, you know, like all the negative things. I don't get that anymore because I've built such a trust with like my followers, and they know who I am as a person, and they trust me, and they know that if I'm recommending something, whether it's Scentsy or not, they need to buy it. Like if I love it, they're going to buy it. If it's, I can't even think of an example of anything right now, like a health and wellness something, or my tonal that I work out with that I spent $4,000 on. Like y'all would not believe the amount of people who've come to me and been like, I need to buy that. Like, okay, like they just see me using it consistently. So whatever you're sharing consistently, people are going to start to want also. Like when they have a connection and trust with you, share things other than Scentsy. Don't just share Scentsy, share other things you love, because they're gonna, it just helps so much when you're not only sharing Scentsy, because then you don't seem like such a salesperson. Like you're just sharing the things you love. So that was totally irrelevant to what we were talking about, but there you go.
No, it was good. That's good. Okay. The last question that I saw, and we'll see if anybody else has asked questions, but when you hit a brick wall trying to book parties and recruit, how do you venture from your list?
Anybody answer, and you want me to answer?
I'll say just I don't have a huge list. Now, I know some of you guys do keep that running. I know Morgan talks about your running list. I try just to make authentic conversations. So when I hit a brick wall, I'm gonna talk more about like booking parties. I just have, I don't like, I'm just like everybody else. I don't like reaching out to people when I'm trying to book parties. So I try really, really hard to book those parties within parties. But if that doesn't happen and I need some more dates to fill in my months, and I do need to reach out to people, you know, I'm going to reach out with, I'm going to do follow-ups with them, and I'm going to try to, you know, reach out to them. I'm going to reach out to my last season's hosts, and I'm going to see if they want to book a party. But if I am having a day where I am just like, look, I wanted to book 5 parties today. I've contacted 15 people, which, side note, some people say I'm having trouble booking parties, but they're not asking enough people. So there's that. But when I'm feeling like I'm hitting a brick wall and I'm feeling like a lot of people are saying no, then I take a break for the day and I just say, okay, well, Monday wasn't it, so I'll do it on Tuesday. That is just me personally. But I try to keep a goal of like, okay, I'm going to ask 10 people today, and I'm going to do it again on Thursday until I fill my March calendar. Because, and I think Morgan, you have said this a few times, there is somebody out there who wants some free Scentsy. You just have to find them. You just have to ask them. I tell my team this all the time. Don't be afraid to bribe your host. It doesn't have to be a huge gift, but bribe them. Like you can offer personal, like little specials personally, like one-on-one. And I forgot the third thing I was going to say, but I'm sure one of you guys will get it. So,
And you've got to think outside the box. Like if you're going to get your nails done tomorrow, take a bag party and leave it there. If you're going to your kid's appointment, take a bag party, leave it there. There are customers and hosts everywhere, but you have to find those people. And it doesn't have to be some formal party that they're hosting. Like just the point is get Scentsy under more than one person's nose somehow, however that looks. Send a bag party with your kid to school and make your kid give it to their teacher. Like whatever you need to do. I don't care what it is, but get Scentsy under noses somehow. Reach out, like she said, I do that a lot. I reach out to my past hosts, go through your whole order history and reach out to all of them. Today, I'm having 5 booking conversations and 5, what am I having? 5 join conversations with clubbers and 5 booking conversations. And I'm going to do that every day this week. Like, you don't have to sit down and have 20,000 conversations at one time. I know for me, that's exhausting. Like, that zaps me. I'm introverted. This probably will zap me. But just break it up into small little chunks. I was going to say something else and I completely forgot what it was. So yeah, there's that.
And Kelly said in the chat that she has an issue with recruiting because everyone has tried Scentsy where I'm from. You guys probably see the same. So the same comment here. So just towards that comment, I would recommend doing the go for no challenge with yourself. I don't know if you guys have heard that, but like literally write down on a piece of paper, like I've heard it 100. Now that does seem a bit overwhelming, but for the sake of the point I'm trying to make, put on a piece of paper 100, like a 100, like number 100, and you're trying to get 100 people to say no to you. I mean, not that you're talking them out of the business, but you know what I mean? Like you're talking to 100 people and you're going to write their name down across that number. Every time they say, no, that's not for me or whatever, you'll see that, first of all, you have to ask a lot of people before you get somebody, specifically towards recruiting. You're going to have to ask a lot of people, more people than to book a party. And then you'll see that you will get yeses. Maybe you're not asking enough people. Maybe but you ask enough people and you're going to get some yeses.
Yeah. So the 2 things I always ask people if they come to me, because remember, mentors, leaders ask questions. So if somebody comes to me and says, nobody wants to book a party, I'm like, okay, nobody you've asked wants to book a party. Not nobody in this world wants to book a party. So first of all, how many people have you asked? Because if you haven't asked like at least 30 people, then you need to go talk some more. But how many people have you asked? And if they say I've asked 40 people, I'll be like, okay, what wordage? That's not a word. What verbiage did you use? Because you probably asked it in a weird, awkward way and you said the word party and you don't need to say the word party and you need to make it about them. Maybe you were saying something like, hey, I need to book 5 parties to reach my goal. Would you do me a favor and book a party? It always needs to be about them. So that's the 2 questions I ask. How many people have you asked? And what was your verbiage like? So just 2 things to keep in mind. And the other thing I was going to say too, if you're stuck, if you have people liking your posts on social media or commenting on your posts or anything related to Scentsy at all, and they are liking it or commenting on it or interacting with it in any way, those are people you need to be reaching out to as well. And you can offer them free Scentsy. Maybe they're interested in Scentsy, but they've never tried it. You can offer some samples to them. Give them a demo warmer. I've got like all these old warmers that are sitting here that I could give to somebody to try out for a week in their home. I've done that before and they've bought the warmer off of me and then placed an order. Like you need to reach out to those people too, like that, who are interested but have not yet done it, like haven't quite got over the fence yet. Let them experience it, then try and turn that into a party. But and like somebody said, Sarah said she has warmers in her dentist office, hairstylist salon. Yes, like my hairstylist always has the current scents. So just think about who you're interacting with on a daily basis or who you could go interact with.
Even if somebody likes your post and doesn't even comment, you reach out to them one-on-one?
I used to. I don't do that anymore. There's too many people. Like most of them are consultants, but
what would be your
All
verbiage
these
then?
consultants, and they'd be like, I'm a consultant, but what?
What would be your verbiage that, like, if they just liked it? Because I'm like, okay, they liked it, but maybe, you know, if somebody comments, I'm like, okay, but
Well, if they liked it, they're supportive or interested in some way, you know? So, I mean, I guess it just depends on what the post is. If it's like something you shared, like a scent that you're warming and they like it, then you can reach out to them and be like, hey, that scent's on sale this month, 10% off, 20% off, whatever. Or if you want to smell the scents or whatever, I saw that you liked this post. First of all, thank you so much for supporting my business, but I would love to share that scent with you or give you a sample of it or get you a catalog or, you know, help you get some free Scentsy, whatever, like whatever you want to say. But I always, like if I'm reaching out to somebody, I always thank them for supporting my business. Like it's just a like, but that's a big deal. They're interested in some way and they're supporting you in some way. So always thank them for that. Because I just always want people to know that I'm appreciative. I don't care how little or big it is. I don't care if it's a customer referral or if it's they left, you know, they shared my post or they liked my post. They were interested and supportive in some way. So that starts to build, you know, relationship, connection, trust, all the things, makes you not seem like just a salesperson too. And it just opens a conversation. I mean, you can start talking to them about their kids, their dogs, their whatever. Tracy asked a while back, okay, now I'm curious, what are her numbers? I'm not sure.
So Morgan, what was your biggest paycheck ever?
paycheck, that's what she's asking.
My biggest paycheck was almost 18,000. So it was like 17 something. So my
Y'all,
next,
that's in 1 month. 1 month.
that was in hypergrowth, but it was a fall paycheck. But I've had a $15,000 spring paycheck too.
I'm gonna poop myself if I ever get to that point.
Literally incredible.
I can't with you.
It never seems real. Like it doesn't matter how many times you see paychecks like that. It never seems.
She said, shut the front door.
Yeah, it never seems real. You want to poop yourself every time.
I
There's
think
Jen.
my biggest paycheck was in hypergrowth and it was almost $4,000. And that was a star director paycheck.
Awesome.
So, which was the month before I quit dispatching.
And you'll have to remember, like, this is leadership. You know, we could do 2,000 PRV and make $600. That's a very small portion of our paychecks. If you notice, thousands of dollars, and Jill probably did 2,000-ish, I'm assuming. So like the rest of that was her team. Look at my paychecks. I've made up to 18,000. The most I sold of that might have been 2,000. So that's why you build a wide front line and a wide base of first gen directors that can start to grow deep. And that's where all your big paychecks are going to start coming in.
Okay, we have Jen is on here, and Jen, my video is messing up, so nobody can see.
No, you're fine. I'm so sorry, guys. I had an appointment at 10 and I could not get on. Like I was having trouble. So I am so sorry, but I'm here.
You're fine. So why don't you introduce yourself, and then what do we want to do? We've answered or discussed the questions that were asked that I can see, unless anybody else has asked anything or saw a question on the Facebook or whatever. So we can go from there. Whatever you want to add at this point, we'll just say that.
Sure. My name is Jennifer Brandt, and I am a star director of Wickless Scents. I have been with Scentsy about a little over 5 years. Whenever I joined, I had no intention to ever have a team. I honestly just wanted to buy from myself. And one thing that my sponsor had asked me is what was my dream or my goal with Scentsy. And I just kind of laughed it off and I was like, oh, I'll just, get certified one day. Like SSD, SD director, none of that was even anything on my mind at all. What changed my mindset was when I went to World Tour. I was seeing other leaders doing things that I felt like I could be doing. My love language is trips, and I wanted to do what they were doing. Money talks. I kind of jumped on when you guys were talking about money, and I really didn't understand the potential that this business had until I started seeing other leaders share their paycheck. I think that that's something that we don't do enough of, because that's what put me on track with like, I'm doing this, because if they can do it, I can do it. I was having conversations with these other leaders, and I realized that I was no different than they were. And there was no reason why I couldn't be doing the same things. The video, I'm sure we've all talked about it. I may have mentioned it before. I know they even mentioned it at World Tour on Saturday when I was there. The one video from Jennifer Anderson, the $10,000 paycheck, it was that was my aha moment, that I knew that I was going to the top. I knew that that's what I wanted, that I could do the same thing, that I wanted a $10,000 paycheck. So I highly recommend anybody to watch that video, because that's when I decided that this was going to be it for me, and that I did want to retire and I did want to do this full time. I'm at the point where last year I did bring my husband home full time. He helps me with Scentsy now. He came home in the end of August. I still work just because I only work 3 days a week. But because of the way the economy has been recently, I'm just kind of scared to pull the trigger. But nothing's changed, and I just need to start saving my money so that way I can pull the trigger and do this full time. I'm super close to doing that. So that's about it in a nutshell. This business is literally a no ceiling income. You can make as much or as little as you want. And what I really love about it is that we get a fresh start every single month. If you did not make what you wanted to make in January, which was amazing for our team, you can do it in February. You can just change your mindset and just do the darn things, but you are in control. You don't have to have, like Morgan said, you do not have to have high PRV. You just have to grow deep and wide. And that's something that has stuck in my mind from my SSD. I'm the downline of Chloe Cox. I don't know if you guys have heard of her, but she always would tell me, grow deep and grow wide. And let me tell you, I probably have about 100 frontline. They all don't work. They don't show up, but I do have at least half that do. So as long as, and I've always been told, as long as half are showing up, then you are doing good. So you've got to keep going until you find more people that are just like you. So that's about it. I don't know.
So Jen, one of the questions we had earlier was that you probably would be a good one to answer was, what was the biggest thing that helped you with that transition? And maybe you can speak of like bringing your husband home in this case, helped that transition to working this full time, or to make that transition.
So it was just the consistency. When I finally started getting $5,000 paychecks every single month, the minimum, I realized that we were able to make that first step into letting him come home, because he does a lot for me. He is my delivery person. He does a lot. He's involved in a lot in mailing. He does a lot of those other little things. So while I'm working, he can be working on those things. I just make him a list of things I need him to do for the week, and he just does them for me. So that way I can concentrate on other things. But I needed to know that I was at least making $5,000 before I could do that transition with him coming home. And when I finally made that transition on our slowest months that we have, then I knew that I was going to be good.
That's a good tip, like random business tip, I guess. with the kind, if you are doing this full time or you're trying to get to where you can do it full time, always go off your minimum paychecks. Do not calculate bills, budgets, anything off of your highest paychecks of the year. You need to go off average or your minimum paychecks. That's what we have always done, and it has kept us safe. Because if we were to go off my one $18,000 paycheck, and then the next year I see a $9,000 paycheck, we'd be in trouble. So that's like a random, just something I thought of when you said that.
One thing that my SSD told me to make sure that I was in good, because I keep telling her I'm afraid to pull the trigger. She said that if you are afraid, is if you can save your income for 6 months and have 6 months worth of income, and that you have that to the side, then that's the time that you can go ahead and say, all right, this is it, let's go. So that way you have that cushion to get you transitioned where you're it's an easier, transition than just going and just doing it. So that is my goal, is to save 6 months. That's where I was at the bank. I'm trying to get everything in order and get things consolidated and everything. I've gotten my own accounts and stuff for Scentsy now, so everything's completely separated. And that move is going to be coming soon, but I'm trying to save at least 6 months of income before I do anything.
That's so good. So smart. Orville has said that before.
Mhm.
I don't remember when he said that, where he said that, but I know he said that. And I thought that was such a good tip. And yes, we should have done that probably before I quit dental hygiene, but that's not what we did. So, and it worked out, but I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
I saw a question from Kelly. She said, I have an issue with recruiting because everyone has tried Scentsy where I'm from. No, they haven't. And not had any luck, or they don't have time. So I try to reassure them that just 10 minutes a day and being consistent will help. Anything else to change their minds. Sorry, I didn't mean to be rude. I don't, when I say stuff like that, I'm not being rude, but seriously, everyone where you live hasn't tried Scentsy. You just have to find more people. Or
I don't
branch
think
out to other cities.
Yes.
Right. I was going to say, I think she's trying to recruit just where she lives or where she's from. But I mean, how many of your recruits are where you live?
I
Probably
have
not
one
that
on my
many.
street, 2 in my last neighborhood, and the rest of my 186 frontline are all over the country. So
Exactly.
you have to branch out on social media, first of all, because there's unlimited people in the whole world on social media. Like that's what me and my husband were talking about not too long ago with his business. He was in construction, and he was limited to our area, where I have access to everybody on social media. He can't go install a door for somebody in California, but I can sell Scentsy or recruit somebody in California. Like, we are so blessed with being in a network marketing company where we can reach everybody everywhere. So most of my team members are all over the country, and it stems from my husband being military, because I started, like, when I first started having parties, it was a lot of military wives who knew people in this state, and then they knew people in this state, they knew people in this state. So it's like all over. But I love social media. I love creating content. I love making reels. I love everything about social media, like creating the content and taking the photos and all the things. So that's my thing. But like, I've lived in 8 different houses since I started my business, and probably, I guess, 5 different cities. I've lived in huge cities. I've lived in little small towns that had no stoplight. I've lived in, normal size, just little towns. Like, I've lived all over the place. But when I lived in those small little towns, I had to branch out. That was before social media was really that big. So like, I had to branch out into the surrounding areas and go outside of my little bubble and get in front of people's faces and talk to people and build connection that way. Do events, like whatever you can do to meet new people. I hate events, but that's just me. A lot of people love events. If you're hungry, you'll do them though.
I
I
do
did.
add
Go ahead.
something. Yeah, it is, as long as you're not going to talk about that.
No, I was going to say, I did see another question. So,
Okay.
yeah.
When it comes to sponsoring, I usually had my people have been all over. Also, a lot of my people are long distance, but I got them with partying. Partying is where you're going to meet people that you aren't normally communicating with. And if someone's already been on the fence about it and you're having a great party, people are going to reach out to you and join. That's what happened to me. But with that being said, it really gets me when someone says, oh, there's too many consultants in a certain area, because that's not true. That does not mean that you can't sponsor all the people. In my respiratory department at work, half of us are on my Scentsy team, like half of us. I'm talking a whole shift. There will be every single one of us are all working together, and we all sell Scentsy and we all do good. I have a couple directors in there with me. We all do just as good, because even though we have the same circles, we also have different circles. So when someone says that, it kind of just like makes me like, oh no, because that's not true. Everybody works their business differently. Everybody has different mindsets. Everybody's doing it for different reasons. So you, your best friend, your mom, your aunt, everybody can be selling it and do just as good, because we all have different workplaces, different friends circles. We have different parties when we do it online. So I don't want you to think that if someone gives you that reason, like I just had this conversation with someone yesterday, I'm like, girl, you see that all of us in the respiratory department, we all sell it. We all do good. We all got these trips coming up. You can do that too. And I have to reassure them that it's really not that they can. And I have to tell them and remind them about our circles being different, and that ultimately the best way is, like she said, events. That's what got me started, and just having parties, because that's how you're going to grow.
But also, everybody on your street could sell Scentsy, but who is actively selling Scentsy and working their business?
Yes.
I just said that exact thing to somebody yesterday or the day before, because they said that same thing. She was like, I want to join so bad, or reinstate. I want to reinstate so bad, but I'm so afraid. It's like, everybody where I live sells Scentsy. And I was like, girl, when I joined Scentsy, there was 3 people in my neighborhood that sold it.
Right.
But they weren't working their business. Nobody even knew they sold it. They weren't out there getting samples in people's hands like I was on Halloween night, giving out samples to every parent who came with their kids. Like, most people don't work their business.
And who's treating your customers great, because if they're not, then more than likely they're going to start buying from you or whatever,
I've had people whose sister sells Scentsy that continue to buy from me, because I give the best customer service. I let them know
exactly
about specials and sales. And it's not because I'm just giving away free things all the time, because I don't. Like, I don't. That's a whole different thing. But yeah, it's all about how you work your business and how it's your perspective. If you're telling yourself everybody else is going to affect you, they're going to, because you're going to hold back. But if you have the perspective of, okay, this is my business, they don't get to determine if I'm going to be successful or not. I'm going to get out and meet people. So it's all about your perspective.
Wasn't there a statistic that it was like one Scentsy consultant per however many households?
Oh my gosh, yes. And I do not remember what that number was, but it's like a crazy.
It was something number. Crazy, like one consultant for every 100,000 households or something like that.
Yeah. I've been doing this almost 9 years. That's crazy. Almost 9 years. And I meet people all the time who have still never even heard of Scentsy. Like,
which blows my mind.
And I'm like, that stuff at Walmart, that's actually a knockoff, and they try to be like us. We were first. Do we have other questions?
Oh,
I'm trying to keep an eye on the comments too.
Somebody said, what are some offerings for people who say they have allergies or don't like perfumed products in their home?
I don't really get that.
If they don't like perfume products, then
Scensy's probably not for you.
Yeah, it's okay that Scensy's not for everybody. when I read that question, I was thinking allergies, but you're right. When you read it like that, perfumed products.
But oils could be fine for people
Yeah.
like that. Like if they're
Fragrance
100%
flowers.
natural oils and diffusers, like that should be fine for people like that, as long as they're not allergic to one of the oils.
I
Well,
was going
and
to
if,
suggest oils.
and if also,
Air purifier too.
oh yeah, air purifier. We do have an
Allergies.
odor out in the what is that called? Scentsy
Scentsy
Fresh.
Fresh.
Yeah. Also, you can ask, well, do you know of anybody who loves fragrance and maybe they have a birthday coming up? Because Scentsy makes great gifts.
Yes, that's perfect.
Yeah, even if they don't use it or can't
Mhm.
use it, they can still gift it.
Yeah, I
And
would talk
going-
about the air purifier for sure to clean their air, to help with their allergies. And then diffusers and oils, and then try to get more connections through that person.
Okay, what is your go-to tool? What do you find that you rely on the most? Is this for business? Probably.
Where is this question? I'm trying to find
Just
this.
popped up.
Rana Marie said it.
Oh, okay.
Morgan is my go-to tool. No, I'm just kidding.
What is your go-to tool?
Yeah,
I
she said
mean,
yes.
the
for
tool
business.
that I use every day that I always start my day with is my happy planner. It's where my to-do
Yes.
list is, it's where my customer list is, it's where all the things that I need to remember. Yeah, I mean, it's where my goal list is. I mean,
My
that
whole
is my
life is-
go-to tool. Like, that's the one I'm going to use the most. I mean, I
That's-
literally carry it with me everywhere.
Me too. My whole life is in here. I use this for personal and business because I don't need. So years ago, systems were awful. Like there wasn't very many resources out there. We didn't have Canva. We didn't have Scentsy planners. There was just a lot we didn't have. And so like I would have a follow-up binder because there was like we didn't have like Amy or anything cool back then. I had a follow-up binder and I had like a regular planner and I just had all these things. And I'm like, no, I need everything right here in one place, right here. And then I have a Google Drive with everything else that's digital in there, like my digital systems. And it can go with me wherever. It's on my phone, it's on my laptop, it's on my computer, it's wherever, it's a cloud. So it's kind of like boards. But
I love
I need
boards.
everything in one place. Like I'm too busy to have stuff scattered and I don't function well in chaos. And so anyway, I agree with Jill. Like my happy planner is my lifeline. I plan my week every Sunday night. I start with personal. So if we have appointments, if I have appointments, if we have practices, if we have games, whatever, I start there. Then I plan my business around that because we're blessed to be able to plan our life around our business around our life. And then every night I just look over the next day, get that planned out. It's all in my happy planner. Everything's there. My grocery list, my meal plans, my tracking my daily numbers for my business, everything is in there.
Yeah.
And Ronna,
I'm
keep
gonna
it
second that
simple.
too.
I mean, there's no reason why it has to be like, a super incredible, top of the line system. Keep it simple. And that's the thing that I had to learn the most this year, especially with working 2 full-time jobs and now 1 part-time job. It's like, how can I simplify my life where I don't feel so overwhelmed all the time? And I mean, I talked to Crystal right before Christmas and I was like, I'm drowning. Help me. I'm drowning. Crystal was like, make a to-do list. That is the simplest system that you could possibly do for your life, is make a to-do list and just check it off every day. And I was like, okay, you might be a genius. And that's what I've been doing. And it has made a world of difference every day. Keep it simple. That's the biggest tool you have.
You save so much time by planning your week out at the beginning of the week, because like many of us, like Morgan said, she works her business about 2 hours a day. I have 3 hours and I don't even like Thursdays. I think I only do 2 hours. But like I have 3 hours. So I I have to do that because when I sit down and do my block of work, it has to be super focused. It depending on, what all I need to get done. And if I'm sitting there thinking, okay, what all do I have to do? Okay, where is the sampling for that? Where's that? That wastes so much time. But if I know on Monday, if I know what I'm doing on Monday, it just works so much better.
And I have a monthly to-do list, like a monthly list. I have lived off of to-do lists since I was like 8 years old. I love to-do lists. They make me happy. I'm very task oriented. I'm very like, I want to accomplish things. I'm always on my feet, going, doing something. I never use my couch. I rest when I need to, but that's just who I am. I love to-do lists, but I have a master monthly to-do list for my business that I pull from for each week. So I have things that I know I want done on the first or, like by the second. I don't force myself to have to get something done on the first because life happens, things change, things come up. Maybe the first is on a Sunday. I don't work weekends. So I have a list of things that I want done by the second or the third, things I want to do on payday. Like on payday, I budget for the month. I like for my business, I do inventory and I order all my supplies for the month. I do Scentsy Club mail outs in about the third week of the month, like certain things like that I can go to that list and pull from that and know what I have to do that week when I'm planning my week out. That way I'm not just trying to pull things out of my butt. Like I would spend forever planning my week, where I have that list and I can plan my week in 20 minutes on a Sunday night.
And stick to your plan. That is something I had when I first started doing this, like, making my plan at the beginning of the week. I am so good at in midweek watching a training and being like, oh, I know I'm going to start doing that too. And then I have to do that day. And then I'm like a squirrel. And then I have to, but now I'm like, no. Okay. I watched that training. That was really good. I want to start implementing that. I put that on the to-do list. It might not happen till next week or a few days later, but I put that on the to-do list when I can fit it in, because it's going to completely overwhelm me if I just squirrel out and try to do all the things that very day.
Yeah. And I have like to the side on my planner, I have out to the side, I write my like random things that I need to get done during the week at some point that aren't like pressing, but they need to be done. So I'm not trying to like force myself to put the crib together today. Like I just know I want to put the crib together this week, or wait until my husband's home and make him do it this weekend. But I just know like little things that I want to do that aren't time sensitive, and I know what is time sensitive. Like for example, today's Inspirations launch. If you have pre-orders or if you need to send out text to your customers saying that it's available, I need to place a local order for my cleaning buckets and all that. Like this training, those things are things that can't be budged. Everything else can be worked around those.
Exactly.
And I know that I'm going to do my 5 club join convos and my 5 booking convos today, because those are non-negotiables. They're IPAs, they're income producing. They are not fluff. They are things that are going to make me money. The things I can push off is sending out promotion gifts. That's on my list, but it's probably not going to happen today. But it can happen at some point this week. It's not that big of a deal, but focus on your IPAs. Those are most important.
Real quick, going back to what products you can use, somebody made a good point of you can still use a Scentsy mini warmer as a nightlight or any of the warmers without the wax and without the fragrance, just to be pretty.
I mean, most of my warmers are just decor anyway, because if I was to put wax in 5 warmers in my living room, I'd go broke buying wax.
All right. Does anyone want to give like closing, unless you see something, maybe closing words? We do have the launch. I think it starts, am I in like 45 minutes? So we want to make sure we get everybody off in time for all that. But I personally want to say this Flash to Full Time has been absolutely amazing for myself and also for my team and for those in my chat. I love Flash to Full Time. I love how you get just a really good overview of your business and leadership and kind of some of the to-dos. Like we definitely hit like PRV hard because that is going to be the bulk of your business. And if you aren't partying, or if you decide you don't want to party, you have to find another way to grow that circle. So, anyway, I just want to say good job to everybody who's on the chat or who's watching the replay. Yeah, you guys did fantastic. It was a good group of, it was a good program. It was a good program. Good group of people.
If you're still here, props to you, because you have the commitment and the discipline to make this a full-time, or to keep this a full-time if you're already full-time. But what I want to say is take the things you've learned in this program and be consistent with them. This program is not made to do your homework one week and then be done with it. It is to get you in the habit of doing the things you need to do to continue doing those things to get your business to where you want it to be. So everything you have learned from this program needs to be done consistently from here on out. You know, if you learned how to build leaders, then you start that now and you never stop. None of these things can ever stop. Like, you're going to evolve in your business to where things will be different. Like, I'm not having to do 8 to 10 Facebook parties a month anymore like I used to, but I did that to build what I have now, to where I can work differently and still do 5,000-6,000 PRV in a month. Like, yes, things will evolve and change, but you have to consistently do the things that matter. Consistently do the things that matter, and never, ever stop. So implement what you've learned, put them into action, and do them consistently every single week, forever and ever and ever. And you will be full-time income before you know it. Whatever that looks like.
Let me tell you guys too, it's going to get harder before it gets easier. Mm-hmm. Like, you're going to have to wake up every single day and remind yourself why you're here. You're going to have to wake up every single day. And even though you're tired, even though, you know, you don't think that you can add another hour into your day, even though all of this stuff, you're going to have to remind yourself why you're here, why you're working so hard for your family. And like, even I have to wake up every single day when my anxiety is like hanging over my head, when my depression is here, when I'm tired, my kids getting on my nerves, like all of those things. You know, I am a real person, like, but, you know, I have to remind myself what our goals are next year. I have to remind myself, and not just next year, but guys, we're literally about to make a move next year that, like, I never even dreamed that could be possible for us, for our family. Like, I told Morgan, Morgan's been my person for a long time, but I told Morgan a few years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago now, I said, Morgan, I'm going to move to the beach. I'm going to do it. I'm going to move to the beach. That's my dream. And I kid you not, next year, only because it was going to be this year, but only because Tyler's job, we got to wait till next year. I kid you not, we are moving to the beach next year. And I wake up every single day tired. I wake up every single day and remind myself, guess what? My booty is going to be in the sand next year working my wax boss business. Okay. So just remember, it's going to get harder before it gets easier, but one day it's going to pay all off and your dreams are going to come true. I can promise you that if you stick with it. Okay.
I always say you've got to put in the hard hours to create the easy hours. That is so true. I had to work, like Jill said, she has to work like 8 hours today. I did that for a very long time. I worked a lot of hours, and yes, it gets exhausting. Yes, you have to still take time for yourself and rest when you need to and have boundaries, but you have to make temporary sacrifices to get to the long-term gain. And now I do have the flexibility where I can put myself first. I can get up, I can get my workout in, I can eat a healthy meal, I can do my household tasks, get that done. And then I can sit down for 2 to 3 hours if I'm lucky, if I have nothing else to do that day, like no appointments, no nothing, no practices, whatever. I can sit down in my office for 2 to 3 hours and work. And then I go get my son. And then after he's home from school, my phone is on do not disturb. And I do not work the rest of the day. I'm present with him. I worked hard for years to create that. So don't ever look at someone who has that and think, oh, they have it easy or whatever. No, they worked their absolute butt off to get to that point. And that's what you have to do.
And where does quitting ever get you?
In the same spot that you were when you first had your dream. Like, I mean, if you keep quitting, you're just going to start over every single time. And it's so much harder to start from the beginning than it is just to endure through your valleys.
So I just want to add for my closing is that I want everybody to remember that you can do it. You are worthy. Everybody deserves a seat at the top. That is something that you learn when you go to events and you are around more people like you. You will realize that you have what it takes. One thing when I was sitting here, and the reason why I wanted to go ahead and hop on, but I have one of those little calendars that have little quotes for each day. And it says, if it's important to you, you will find a way. If it's not, you'll find an excuse. And that is so true. Time after time, we hear people say and give us excuses, but really, if this is something you really want, you will make the sacrifice to get it done. Even if it's for me, like I will wake up an hour or two earlier than when I need to go to work. I will wake up, get things done. But you have to put in the time now. You have to work hard. So like Morgan said, she has worked so hard to where she's able to put her phone on silent and just be done and spend family time. And that's what I want. That's what I'm working toward. And I deserve that. And so do you. So you just got to remember that you just need to get your mindset straight and just know that you can do this, because every single person can do the same thing that we're doing.
So good. It starts with belief for sure. And look, even people like me have to have sticky notes in front of us that say, I'm worthy.
Same.
Me too, girl. I got mine.
A
Thanks.
title is not going to make you feel worthy. It's not going to make you feel anything. It's not going to make you feel magically successful just because you reached director. Like, that's not how it works. So anybody else want to say anything in closing? Could you be any louder? It's like, yes, I could.
All right, friends. Well, thank you guys for participating, and thank you to all the leaders that poured into us. Like every single one of these leaders, y'all took time away from their business, their teams, all that good stuff to pour into you guys. And bless your businesses and all that good stuff. So a big, huge thank you to all of the leaders that took the time to be chat leaders and be teachers throughout the week too. But you guys keep going. You absolutely have everything that you need to just keep it moving and keep growing. So thanks for participating. And thank you to all the leaders for hanging in there with us for almost 6 weeks.
All right. Thank y'all. Y'all go enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy this lunch.
Okay, bye.